Greetings, my name is Daniel Faure, and I come from the town of Worcester, just on the other side of the Cliff Pass, and I am 24 years old. You could describe me as being someone who I love the term mind over matter, as I definitely prefer mental challenges to physical ones. I have a great passion for languages and cultures, and have over the years learned to speak quite a few. I can speak English, Afrikaans, Japanese, Swedish, and some South African Sign Language. In 2018, I completed my double major Bachelor of Arts in Sociology and Psychology. Since then, I've been involved with a volunteer organization called YWAM, or Youth with a Mission. I started off by doing a word by heart school, which is basically a storytelling school in Worcester, before going to do a discipleship training school in Scotland with outreach program to India, and then I taught a word by heart storytelling acting school in the Philippines. Earlier this year I was supposed to do an empowerment conference in Japan and do a foundation for counseling ministry in Sweden. Unfortunately, COVID prevented that. So in its place, I ended up doing a 250-hour master course in TESOL through Exeter University in the UK. My vision for psychology is to use it as a tool to empower people. I hope one day to form a mobile psychology or counseling team that can go to people or areas of need, areas that have been hit by natural disaster or refugees or war and so on. Contributing reasons as why I would be a good fit as a registered counsellor would be down to experience. This means experience as a team captain in hockey and swimming, as a coach for hockey, cricket and soccer, or an umpire for cricket matches. During my Bachelor of Arts degree, I assisted with a grief shake group at the church, which basically helped people who had lost a loved one overcome their grief. My volunteer work with YWAM has given me experience and exposure to many people in many different situations right across the board, which I think is a valuable asset. During leading discipleship training schools and so on, also in YWAM, I had to mentor other students. One such student that was a particular challenge was one who had left his boyfriend to come and join or serve as a missionary in this missionary group, and to be taught there, which was a real challenge between his ethics and values versus what he felt. And then another big experience bonus is international and intercultural exposure, which just opens a whole new world of realities and thinking patterns and stuff. The world in South Africa compared to out there is so small, and it's an experience like no other that I believe is a great asset to anybody. I would also be a good fit as a counsellor because of my skills, which are problem solving. I'm good at relating to people. Lots of people have said it's uncanny how quickly I get to know people and being able to judge their thinking patterns or behavior or predict that. And then I'm connecting to that. I'm a good judge of character, of people's strengths and of their potential. I'm good at listening, and I'm a patient listener. I'm also good at remaining neutral and not getting emotionally involved or choosing sides. Patience, and I'm a very motivated person, and I am pretty good at motivating other people as well. I'll also be a good fit as a registered counsellor because of my passions, my interest in people and culture. It's an complicated, intricate world that is just so amazing. There's so much depth in it. There are finite strings that just hold society together. The other thing is because so many of those who need a psychology or counselor can't afford it or don't have access to it because of the fact that they need it in the first place. I mean, these things displace people from cultural or economic competitiveness. I'm also very fond of education, so I might at some point do an educational a master's or specialize in educational psychology. I've got a passion to empower people, which I believe psychology gives me the ability to do, especially when it comes to identity and personality and development. I also have a passion for the psychology's role in management and policy development, because I think it's one of the main problems that comes to mind is how often, like in South Africa, but despite the big pool of this knowledge, special needs schools, whether it be for kids with bipolar or Down syndrome or even the deaf and blind, are ever more being forced into mainstream schools that just haven't got the resources to be able to cater for them. Why? Why do, with so much knowledge and science and all stuff that is there to prove it, does that happen? And then similar to culture and people, just intergroup functionality is something that I'm really passionate about. Over my life, though, there are two big challenges that I've had to overcome, and I'm still facing today in some degree or another. The one was a bus accident in 2010. I was in grade 8, and I was on a cricket tour to George, and the bus that I was in rolled. I woke up about 3 months later, having suffered cracked skull and bleeding on the brain and some other injuries. But the hardest of these things was that my best friend had died, and I had no memory of the accident. I still have no memory, but I was really guilty, felt really guilty at that point, because surely I must have been able to do something to save him or help him survive. But what has the accident caused? Well, it's meant that I've got a slowed reaction time, verbal recall has been a problem. I've had many academic problems after that. Before the accident, I was one of the gifted. I was really gifted. I got provincial colours in almost every sport that I tried to, and I got 80s and 90s in school, won Olympiads and general knowledge quizzes without really ever studying or trying to. But afterwards, I was not Mr. Popular anymore. I very quickly fell off the charts, and I was Mr. Lonely, really. I had no friends. People didn't know how to associate with me, and it was one of the most challenging experiences ever. My whole environment changed, going from being the popular guy that everybody looked up to and wanted to be friends with, to another guy who then I started to experience a lot of racial attacks like never before, and surprisingly a lot of animosity seems to still exist for the Afrikaans people against the English people for the Boer Wars in the past, which was a massive surprise to me. And then there's headaches. Ever since the accident, I've got terrible headaches. These headaches can often last for 3-4 days or longer, and medication doesn't help. And they leave me, once they're gone, I am left there feeling emotionally, physically, mentally exhausted in every way possible, which takes another day or two to recuperate. And probably the biggest problem for me is the reliability of this, because it's just, how can I rely on myself? It's really changed and shaped the course of my life so drastically. Either way, being able to get the Bachelor of Arts through Cornerstone was a massive accomplishment for me that I'm so delighted to have been able to achieve, and I'm looking forward to possibly going at it again. As I've said previously, I'm not somebody who gets demotivated easily. I'm very motivated, and I believe that I can do anything that I put my mind to.